to.
I am here with one of my friends. His name is James Dirmenjian. He is a competitor. He is a strength and conditioning coach. He is a business owner. He is a fighter, and his whole business is focused on fighters and first responders. So, James, thank you for joining me, man. This is my first ever interview on this channel. I'm excited to talk to you because I know you're an expert. I know you know what you're talking about, and I know you can help a lot of my guys because for some reason I just attract the big guys. Maybe it's that first video I put out. My first ever video was about how to find big and tall gis. And that thing has like over 4,000 views. So people, big and tall guys are looking to find gis that fit their body. And somehow most of the people that follow me and comment, I call them my subscriber friends, are bigger guys. And so I was hoping you could help me understand and you can help them understand the best way to get in shape, to be in shape, to stay in shape, and to be successful in jiu-jitsu. So enough out of me, man. If you would, please introduce yourself. Tell the people watching your background, your number one comic book issue, number one origin story, how you got interested in jiu-jitsu, how you got interested in competing. Well, we'll talk about competition in a minute. Just tell me how you got into jiu-jitsu and how you got into this line of work.
Yeah, sure. So I think it was 2007, so a really long time ago.
Wow.
I had just come back. I just come back like a year or two earlier from getting a master's degree overseas.
Nice.
I was 20, 23, 24 years old. And that was like the heyday of the Ultimate Fighter TV show. And so I just started to like get back into shape. I'd gotten back into lifting and was taking it more seriously again. And, you know, the Ultimate Fighter Tough season 7 came on. And I remember just watching some of these guys. It was like Team Sarah versus Team George St. Pierre. This is like about the time where I think, you know, Matt Serra and GSP had their kind of their back and forth where like Matt Serra like managed to somehow flash KO GSP, which is like the most amazing flukes in the history of the sport. And then, you know, of course, GSP came back and beat his ass.
Of course.
But I remember watching the show and being like, I'm remembering wrestling in high school and remembering how much fun it was. And I was like, you know, I could do that, right? So unbeknownst to me, just down the street, Boss Rutan had his gym.
Okay.
Boss Rutan's Elite MMA. It was literally 5 minutes away from my place in Thousand Oaks off of Hillcrest. It was a tiny little mom and pop shop at the time, but I showed up there and I signed up, you know, and I remember starting with jiu-jitsu class and then just kind of getting sucked into it, right? And being like, wow, this is super cool. Like I did some striking stuff too. And you know, at some point I trained with some pretty notable striking instructors, Rick Metzler, another guy who is a professional kickboxer.
All right.
Years, you know, a couple of these Kempo karate guys who were cool, but really that gym kind of expanded and I didn't stay with them. And so my next choice was to move to a pure jiu-jitsu gym.
All right. Sounds cool. Very cool. Now, I know you're a competitor. I know you competed literally all over the world. I saw you posting some stuff. I think it was Europe or Asia or something. So I want to dig into that a little bit because you're not just a trainer, you're a competitor. You have an impressive record. You've got a super, I think you mentioned your percentage of sub wins by submission versus wins by decision. Can you just tell us all about that? And even the crazy little thing that you do that most people do not, because if I'm not mistaken, you qualify to compete in the Masters division, but you have chosen to go the hard route. You're trying to ice skate uphill and go up against the adults. That means 18 and over. So you're fighting these guys, the elite, fresh out of college wrestlers, the elite teenagers, babies. These are those crazy ones. And you chose to take on those guys and you're freaking winning. So tell us about that. What is your competition focus, strategy, background, and fill us in on your record? I see the medals in the back, so I'm sure it speaks for itself, but I'd like to hear from you too, please.
Yeah. So you can see here, I am a 3-time world and national medalist.
Yeah, buddy.
2 of those in the IBJJF, 2 of the world medals are in the gi at the adult level. One is Master 2, the silver no gi. And one of the medals, the silver medal for nationals is at the adult level. The other 2 were at Master 2. And so basically, I started competing with jiu-jitsu heavily when I got back into it again, which was 3 years ago. I actually took about 11, 12 years off. You know, I had kind of a falling out with an instructor and I just threw my hands up in the air and said, hey. And it's kind of one of those things where if you manage to our instructors, black belts, whatever, like they don't always go super hard in practice. Sometimes they do. But, I had a falling out with an old instructor who was a 3-time world champ. And, I submitted with an ankle lock, and I don't think he was trying that hard, but he got super butthurt about it. I just after that incident, it turned into like lots of harsh words between he and I was like, you know what? I'm good with this. I don't need to do this anymore. I just kind of quit, which in retrospect was a sad choice. But years later, about 3 years ago, things kind of went a little haywire in my personal life in terms of like family, girls, that kind of stuff. And I remember sitting with myself one day and just being like, you know what? Like, what if you were to take the happiness of your own inner child into your own hands? And I thought to myself, what does that mean? And then I thought back to 11, 12 years prior and I said, I always thought that I could be a world champion, right?
Yeah.
But I never really tried that hard, like I showed up for worlds once. I did like maybe 3 or 4 other tournaments, maybe 5. I never really got on the grind. I never put myself in the process. And I said, you know what? I'm doing this fitness thing. I have a lot of good clients and stuff. I have some money to go and travel a little and compete. I don't have a family, of my own. I don't have anything weighing me down. Why not try for it? And so that's when I started on the competition grind. And it was that year that I took second at the Nogi Worlds Master 2 level, which in retrospect, like the magnitude of that accomplishment, like it was just enough at the time for me to think, oh, wow, maybe I do have potential. So from there, I ended up moving. I was at Gracie Barra Northridge at the time. And meanwhile, I've gone through 2 belt promotion ceremonies as a 4-stripe blue belt. Granted, I'd taken 11 years off and not get promoted to purple. And I was thinking, okay, am I going to stick around LA, Northridge, which is kind of a crappy area? Like I wasn't really a huge fan, like to be living downtown Northridge, the Valley, even though Gracie Barra Northridge is a great gym, Homley Bahal, obviously really, really world-renowned instructor and competitor, but they didn't really have a robust Nogi program.
Okay.
And I would have to drive to Tarzana for more of that and all this stuff. And I had actually at the time applied for LAPD. I had some friends in, and I figured 312s, I can manage that. I can still do jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
I was denied. I was denied for like an old misdemeanor from when I was like 19, and nonviolent misdemeanor, and even though it was expunged, and so I was like, fuck, like what am I going to do? And I started looking into training with the New Wave team in Austin, and I looked into it. Henzo Gracie Austin, Dan Hare, and Nicholas Marigali had just started instructing there just a few months before I looked into it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could really just go pay $300 a month and take classes with John Danaher,
Yeah.
And I said, fuck it, I'm doing it, right? So I went and I did that. And now I knew I wasn't going to get promoted, just switching gyms. Like I had a feeling. And I met a guy, this really boisterous Texan dude by the name of Jay Chiquette. And this guy was a purple belt. He had taken worlds the year before, and he had talked about how he was switching over and starting. He's my age, 40 at the time, 41.
Okay.
He was talking about how he was like, this next year I'm going to compete adult. And I was like, what? I was like, you can do that? Like that's permitted? He's like, yeah. She's like, you just select it on the thing, when you're registering for the tournament. And I was like, uh-huh. And I thought to myself, okay, I've been a blue belt for a bajillion years now. Like I'm not getting promoted anytime soon. There's got to be a way for me to challenge myself. And why not just fight the guys who are younger? Let's see if jiu-jitsu really lives up to its own hype, right? Like if a younger, less, more enfeebled, weaker person really can, or an older, person really can take out the younger, stronger. Granted, most of these kids in this generation are not stronger than me, right? Like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I am a dedicated strength coach, so it's less shade on them, even though I have faced some guys who are, specimens, right?
Sure, yeah.
But I decided I'm going to try this, and I think my first adult tournament was the Dallas Open that year, 2023. and I showed up kind of in my typical headspace. I'll be honest with you, like my competition mindset is poor. It's a poor piece,
Okay.
right? And because I'm always showing up to these things like, why am I doing this? Like, this doesn't make sense. This is stupid. I could get hurt. I'm old. Like, these
Mm-hmm.
are all the thoughts that are going through my mind. And I think they're common for most people.
Yeah.
But anyways, I showed up with all these thoughts and these dreads, especially now fighting adult, and beat my first guy very handily. He was very new, a really nice kid, a state trooper for Texas. Just beat him at points. Second guy, he took me down right away, but I bounced back and Kimura'd him pretty fast, right? Good guy. He's a student of Sanjay Ibero, and Sanjay was right there cornering him, so that was kind of cool. And Sanjay basically called out the move that I pulled up on him. He's like, watch out for the Kimura. And right as he said it, I hit it.
That's awesome.
But it was cool to see like Sanjay is like such a good coach. He was there like coaching one of his blue belts, which
Yeah.
to me was very inspiring, But Jonah's a good dude. He just got his purple belt, and his game has improved tremendously since then. Uh, and then the third guy was in the open class, and I hit one of my favorite Urigatame, also known as like a violin arm lock, very fast on.
Okay.
And I remember there was kind of like at the time in the room with Dan here, like a lot of us were kind of like Urigatame because he was showing it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, does that shit even work? Yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody talking shit.
Yeah.
And when I pulled it off, one of my training partners, AJ, he was like, okay, it's good to know that shit actually works.
Yeah.
But the third guy, who's the next guy? So the next guy, this kid, this is a funny story, Chris. I'm 4 matches deep, 3 wins by sub, 1 decision. Yeah, no, I footlocked this kid, like really, really, really fast young kid. He runs out there. He's just like, small. He's like schooling me on points, and
Yeah.
he decides to enter my legs, and he didn't know that I'm a 10-year blue belt.
Yeah.
Footlocked forever, and however athletic and fast he was, as soon as I got that crossbody footlock and put a belly down, he couldn't do shit, especially being size. So I'm 4 matches deep. I burn through these young kids, and I'm like, holy shit, I can do this, like I'm surprised. I'm like, this is super cool.
Yeah.
And of course, athleticism, strength, all that, taking care of myself, lifting weights, all that
Sure.
is
Yeah.
helpful. By the time I get to the next guy, almost, I think it was the semifinal match for it was a semifinal match for the open class. This kid, Zach Shoemaker, who's actually a very good jiu-jitsu athlete.
Okay.
And he's been eyeballing me this whole time. And he's been for me like submit people in less than a minute and just make short work with them. This kid comes over to me with this like look on his face. He's like, you're like a master 3, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I've just watched you tear through everybody. I was like, yeah, okay. He's like, please don't break me, sir. God, I swear to God, like I laughed inside so hard, but at the same time, I was like, oh, am I just being a dick?
Yeah. Are you the bully? You don't want to be the bully.
I was like, am I just being a mean old big brother? Like what am I? And so like it got into my head. Like he had this like really sad, like droopy look on his face, and I was like, looking at my little brothers right now, like, and so this got in my head. And so Zach then proceeds to like demolish me in points.
Really?
30 to like nothing.
Wow.
Looking, rides me, gets on top, mounts, takes the back, and like towards the end of the match, I'm just kind of like, I'm giggling because I know I'm not coming back from this.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm sorry about this, man. I was like, shut up, Junior. You're doing great. Like, what do you want to say? So, that was my first experience fighting at the adult level.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I did have a number of tournaments like this, but it basically put in my head, leading up to the adult worlds in 23, where I did take 3rd place and, I was first 2 guys and all that. But it made me realize like, okay, this is the intermediate level.
Yeah.
And I am challenging myself. I am succeeding, to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
This is only right because at like the Master 2, Master 3 level, yeah, there's some tougher guys. Yeah, there's some guys who like have been lifting. There's a lot of guys on TRT. And there's some challenge for me there. But like on the whole, those brackets are tiny. There's 7 masters or 6 masters divisions. Those 7 masters divisions, And
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense because you'll show up and you'll get like a single athlete bracket half the time, you know?
True. Yeah.
And so I really kind of just wanted my money's worth, and I wanted to test myself and challenge myself. And I wanted to fucking show up to tournaments and actually have people to fight. So that was part of the reason for the adult thing as much as anything. Challenge myself, also making sure that I'm showing up and having people in my brackets, because I have a 7 Masters division. That's just like a money raking scheme, you know. It's
I can
just
see
have
that.
1 or 2, right? Like,
Yeah.
come on, you know, or 3 tops, right? It's just like, but the other piece of it was, you know, I thought to myself, okay, like, this is actually a really good proof of service as well, because there's a lot of jiu-jitsu guys who love the thrill of showing up. We love it, right? Like, I know you've done jiu-jitsu for a while now. It's what, 2 years?
3 now. 3 years.
3 years.
Yep.
And we love it. You know, we show up, we spar, we hang out, we learn new things. There's a thrill in it. But just like any other sport, right? If you don't do your due diligence and you don't like take that right amount of care of your body, your performance is always going to be far more limited by comparison, right? To
100%. I'm living proof of that, man. And
most people don't lift, right? A lot of guys, I should say.
Very true.
They don't lift seriously, right?
Well, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people are confused about how to lift. What's the best way to lift? What strategy should they use? I got a question from somebody who asked us a question on YouTube and on social media. We'll get to that in a second. But I knew you had trained with Danaher. I knew you had taken you podiumed at a world championship, I believe, at the adult level. So that was something. I'm glad you touched on that. You're in San Diego now, right? With Legion, which I've heard of those guys. I'm not really in the competition team, but I've heard that name, and I know there's some badass dudes coming out of there. So it sounds like you're in a really good place with a lot of really good competition, and you're still killing it in the gym, and you're still training people and coaching people. So kind of to your point about how a lot of people aren't taking it seriously, aren't lifting seriously.
Yeah.
I had some questions for you and for my audience as to what we can do, what we should do, what should our approach be in terms of like strategy. And so, you know me, I'm an ultra heavyweight. I'm super huge, super heavy. I've lost a bunch of weight, man. I just hit a new low. Praise God. I'm excited about that. But I need to be lower. I made a video a couple years ago, like the best way to be a good ultra heavyweight training partner is to not be an ultra heavyweight, right? Like lose your weight. So let's start right there. If for the people in that are watching this, people who want to lose weight, maybe they're heavyweights, maybe they're super heavyweights, maybe they're ultra heavyweights, what is the best way in your approach and in your philosophy? What would you tell them, or how would you encourage them to lose weight, to drop those pounds while still staying strong and staying in shape and staying competitive on the mats?
Yeah, and it all depends on how much you have to lose, but at the same time, the approach is going to be pretty much similar, even if it's 10 to lose, 20 to lose, even up to 50 or more to lose, right? And the approach is going to be for you to lift 3 times a week, right? I like to schedule things every other day for my clients. It gives ample time to recover. You want to track your food, right? Track everything you're eating. Just MyFitnessPal is free and easy, right?
Yep.
You want to get enough protein to build muscle tissue with your lifting routines. That looks like, you know, there's a million and one stupid debates back and forth on the internet about this all the time. And it's just all fucking stupid, because like one gram per pound of lean body weight, it's like tough to go wrong with. And then if you feel like you need more, just go one gram per pound of body weight, period. Right. And nobody really needs much more than that, unless they're enhanced. And even then, you know, like, and then, so lifting 3 times a week, tracking your food, making sure you get enough protein, basic other shit, hydrate. You know how many fucking people fuck this up?
It's crazy because there's so much advice online and it conflicts a lot of the time. But like you're saying, there's some core principles that are just foundational, you know, things. And you of course monitor this stuff in your clients, right? So they're sending you their food logs, they're sending you their you know, water intake and whatever, so you can kind of make sure they're staying on track.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't take it to water intake, but at the same time, like, we all fuck this up, dude. Like, if you're not drinking a half gallon of water every time you wake up, you're starting your day dehydrated. So I need to do this, but that's part of the reason I keep this around, which is right.
Yeah,
I walk with it, right?
I got mine around here. Look at this. I'm carrying it maybe every day, so we're on the same page. Yeah.
So, but these little things, right? And that's basically it. I mean, cardio, like that's another can of worms, but it boils down to like, you want to do some steady state, elliptical, especially for big guys. Elliptical is great. Rowing machine is great. The bike is great.
Okay.
Don't be trying to go out there and run. You know, if you weigh well over 200 pounds to start, you know, like
I did that in the past. I made that mistake in the past. Yeah.
you can ease your way into that if that's something you want to do. But ultimately, that is a competing stressor
Mm.
for the stress on your joints you'll get from jiu-jitsu. So you have to bear that in mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Elliptical isn't, rowing machine isn't really, right? You know, the bike isn't. Those are all easy on the joints, right?
Yeah.
So, and then what I say for most people is about 30 minutes of steady state zone 2 after you're lifting to help flush all those, you know, exercise metabolic waste products out of your muscle tissues.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can do, you know, sprint type intervals and stuff, but that should be done very sparingly because, well, and it's not that it's not important, right? It's just, if you're already showing up to jiu-jitsu and sparring 3 to 5 days a week, you know, I want to say you are getting quite a bit of that kind of work, which is,
Mm-hmm.
it's half true, right? Because it's still not the same, right? As
Sure.
the sprint interval time, because you still have to be technical. You have to conserve your energy. You have to be smart. If you're not training smart, you're not getting better at your sport, right? Sport
Sure.
practice. But at the same time, you know, interval sprints are so demanding that we see them overplayed, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of jujitsu, you know, sort of amateur jujitsu people who think they know what strength training is are like, oh yeah, I just did this 30-minute hit kettlebell workout and burned myself in the ground. And it's like, all right, bro, like have fun sparring tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
Right? Like you know, like so steady state you can't go wrong with. The interval type sprinting, you just have to use it intelligently. And what I like to do with most of my athletes, so if I'm going to give them some of that, I stack it on their upper body lifting days.
Okay.
And I typically won't, I'll tell them not to train jiu-jitsu or train technique only on those days.
Okay.
It's between upper body stress from lifting um plus sprinting. Like that's a lot of metabolic stress you're putting your body through. So if you're going to try and spar as well,
Mm-hmm.
most guys, you know, if we're in our 30s or older, we can't really handle it, you know. Anyways,
Makes sense.
that's kind of like the condensed version of what I do for most of my clients. Obviously, there's a lot more detail to what
Sure. And you mentioned zone 2. Zone 2 is based on your heart rate, right? Based on
uh-huh.
where your rate is. Okay.
And for most people, it's going to be somewhere around 120 to 140 beats per minute, right? It will
Yeah.
vary.
And most people have an Apple Watch or some kind of Fitbit or some kind of trainer where they can monitor their heart rate and make sure they're in that zone.
Yep.
All right. So weight loss is eat smart, which you'll coach them on that, of course. Burning good calories, 30 minutes of steady state cardio, I believe you said. No worry. If you really want to sprint, you can talk about it and customize something for it, but it's not necessary, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it depends. You know, like if someone's like trying to be a professional or semi-professional jiu-jitsu athlete, like we'll set it up. Or, you know, for like my guys in the military and law enforcement, sprinting is absolutely essential, right?
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
have to bake that into their programs. And whether it conflicts with jiu-jitsu or not doesn't matter because they're doing foot chases, they're doing, you know,
Yeah.
obstacle courses, that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, but for a killer whale like myself, a guy that's just trying to train and feel good about himself, like today I went to class this morning at 10 o'clock. Afterward, I went to the gym. I was on the elliptical for 20 minutes. I didn't do 30 minutes. I did 20 minutes. And then I hit the sauna for 15, I think it was like 17 minutes in the sauna. And then I went home. So I'm feeling pretty good about what I did today based on what you just said. One thing I didn't do that I kind of wanted to do, but I decided not to, was lift heavy. Because part of me loves that feeling of lifting heavy, but I already felt kind of tired and felt kind of depleted. So the ultra heavyweight, the heavyweight, the super heavyweights are always, you know, talking about strength. And if we beat somebody, they usually want to talk about how strong you are, right? That's the backhanded compliment, right? Oh boy, you're so strong. And so you gotta have the technique. You don't want to have the strength, but strength is a tool that we should be able to use, in my opinion. All right. And I know you're coaching people on how to use their strength and how to develop their strength and enhance their strength. So if you're already a big guy and you're naturally carrying a lot of weight, a lot of muscle mass, how would you coach an ultra heavyweight, super heavyweight like myself on developing their strength? Because we talked about weight loss. What about improving strength or keeping your strength in the face of one?
Increasing strength in the face of weight loss. Yeah, well, it's quite simple, right? And what it is, you know, with the way I do things, we assess on your strength to start, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of my clients work up in five sets of five to a 5 RM at the outset of our training commitment.
Okay.
I assess what their strength looks like on, for critical lifts, bench, squat, deadlift, overhead press, for those who can do pull-ups. So I assess on that. And from there, we set things up to where everything's by the numbers. So you're working on a percentage basis and you know exactly what weight you're supposed to lift for what number of sets and what number of reps on daily, right? And that way it's not arbitrary, it's not subjective, it's not, what do I feel like doing today, right? There's a range of acceptable like reps in a top set core lifts that gives some buffer room. Like if you're having a shit day, okay, if you only get 4 reps, like you're fine. If you can get like 8, that's okay on the top set, right? If you can get more, all the better. But basically what I do to make sure that people are getting stronger, because strength doesn't necessarily have to be a like, it's not perfectly correlated with cross-sectional muscular hypertrophy, right? Getting bigger, what that means is getting bigger can and will often lead to higher levels of strength.
Okay.
Stronger does not necessitate that a person get bigger, right?
Okay.
So, you can very well be in a calorie deficit, which a lot of my guys are, and get hella stronger while losing fat, right? And the reason for that is that the nervous system is adapting. The muscles are adapting, even if they're not like packing on gobs and gobs of muscle tissue, right? Becoming more, the muscles are becoming more efficient. They're innervating more deeply. The nerves will actually grow deeper into the muscle tissues, the fibers themselves, to get stronger. So it's,
so we don't have to get bigger. We can get stronger without getting bigger. Because I don't think any of the big guys, the ultra heavyweights, want to necessarily get bigger. I think we just want to feel like we can keep our same level of strength or enhance the strength and still continue to melt the snowman, as I say, and lose weight and get more flexible and get more mobile and get better cardio, right? That's a big part of it. Is big guys were always gassing out. Well, I would say always. There's some big guys that have a great gas tank. But me, I'll speak for myself. I gas out. When we're rolling, I gas out. And I know a lot of other guys that are big guys that sometimes get tired. So for jiu-jitsu competitors, jiu-jitsu enthusiasts, even if you don't compete, you still want to compete on the mats in your gym. You still don't want to be the guy who's the restaurant, right? So do you have any advice, or what would you coach, or how would you direct a heavyweight or ultra heavyweight, super heavyweight to enhance their cardio? Is it the 30-minute solid state? Is that enough? Or should they do more if you want to enhance or improve your cardio for competition?
You can do up to like, say 200 minutes of zone 2 a week, right? But here's the thing that's really important that a lot of people don't realize, okay? Within the match itself, you can have the best cardiovascular fitness in the world and still get winded, right? Okay, because you're not using the cardiovascular energy system in the match, right? Most of what's going on is what's called like lactic acid or anaerobic energy expenditure, okay? Because we're moving usually pretty fast, or even if not, we're contracting our muscles isometrically to like hold a pin or whatever it may be, right? So we're not utilizing like aerobic power output in the match itself. That's not why we gas out in the match per se. Aerobic fitness, zone 2 aerobic fitness, say steady state, long, slow distance aerobic fitness is helpful, is really recovery between bouts, right? So when you get done with a hard match, the level of your aerobic fitness is directly correlated with the speed and completeness with which you can recover, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
So basically your heart can, again, replenish all of the blood that's in the muscle tissues that you've just worked, and your wrists are all cramped up, your forearms are tight, whatever. Maybe your back is tight, maybe your chest is gassed out, or your lats, or whatever, your legs are cramping, seizing. The better cardiovascular shape you're in terms of like that long, slow, steady state, the faster your body can replace all the metabolic waste, the sort of bad blood, as it were, in your local muscle tissues with fresh, oxygenated, nutrient-rich blood. Okay, now you're back to form, right?
Sure.
In terms of your next match. In terms of not gassing out in the match itself, right? It's boiled down to 2 things, okay? The first one is anaerobic fitness, right? And this can be divided. It can be subdivided into a bunch of different things. There's there's lactic, there's alactic, there's ATP, CP, right? These are just 3 gradations of energy systems within the anaerobic energy pathway, right?
Okay.
Basically, Chris, like, it gets too granular too quick, practically speaking, right? Let's put it this way, okay? Let's do a little thought experiment. You'll appreciate it.
Okay.
So, what do you weigh?
Ooh, I don't want to tell you that, but it starts with a 3. How about that? It starts with a 3.
Well, let's run with me. I weigh 220.
Okay, sure.
Now, I meet a lot of other guys who weigh 220.
Yeah.
Amounts. And let's just say on a good day, I can bench press my body weight for a set of 10 to 15 reps. Okay.
Heck,
Right.
that's impressive. Yeah.
And then, well, let's look at my legs too. Okay. So on a good day, I can double that number, 440 pounds, twice my body weight. I can do that for 5 to 10 reps on the deadlift.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
On a good day. And then on the squat, let's say 1.5 times my body weight, 330 to 360. I can do that for 8 to 10 reps.
Okay. You sound like Superman to me, but go ahead. Keep going. Yeah.
So that's pretty strong for my age, right?
Yeah.
There are lots of guys who are on steroids who are like way stronger, right? You know?
Okay.
And then there are lots of guys who are way fucking weaker. Now, forget the fact that whoever I'm fighting against might have to contend with that expression of strength. Let's just keep it relative to my own body weight, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If I can deadlift twice my body weight for 5 to 10 reps, that means that I can, per the E-play equation, which is a fundamental equation of exercise science, that means that I can take my body weight and I could do like 100 rapid deadlifts with it before having to stop, before complete total muscular failure.
Okay. Well, all right.
Now let's talk about a guy who can deadlift his body weight maybe 5 times at 220, right? And he has to face me, right? Or maybe he can do it 10 times, but I can do it 100 times.
Yeah.
Who the fuck's going to gas out first?
100%.
Right? Like, and forget the fact that, yes, I'm going to be stronger than this dude and I can probably just throw him on the ground and sub him real quick. I've done that a lot. That's fun. I like to play jiu-jitsu that way when I can, and it's not always the best way to play when you're faced with somebody who's obviously tough, right? Or evenly matched. But the point is, if you're hella strong, you're not going to fucking gas out against someone your own size. If you are hella strong relative to your own body weight, right? The chance of you gassing out in the match because your ATP CP system, your anaerobic energy system is not adequate to the task of moving someone your same size repeatedly for 6 minutes. It's not going to it's way less likely to happen, right?
That's true. Yeah. Because when I'm rolling, but I'm not rolling currently because I'm at Gracie University, but back in the day when I was rolling, if I was rolling with somebody smaller than me, I didn't gas out as quickly. That makes sense. Okay, so the key to the cardio and not gassing out isn't so much running or treadmill or cardio necessarily. It's anaerobic exercise and, again, strength. So it kind of all goes back to strength, but usable strength in a way that you can actually benefit and maintain and continue in a match without going crazy.
Well, and it's kind of a misnomer. Like, we see a lot of this functional stuff, right? And I'm a big fan of functional stuff. You see a lot of functional exercise on my page. I attach bands to the weights and it's all wobbly and shaky when I'm pressing, whatever. All this shit's cool, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Extreme ranges of mobility, knees over toes. Oh, let me get into a deep lunge that's almost tearing my groin. Yeah. Okay. That's great because it's opening the hips up. Awesome.
Yeah.
But like, literally, if you could deadlift your body weight, double your body weight for a set of 10, that's really fucking functional for heavyweight, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Like, that has a pretty direct real world application because another thing that, and this is funny because Danaher used to kind of ride me about this or laugh about it.
Okay.
But like, I'd have back in Austin, I'd have like some very high level jiu-jitsu players who would come and train with me, black belts, multiple time world champs, blah, blah, blah. And there were often situations where these guys would get on top of me, but because I was so fucking strong, I could just buck my hips, catch their arm, push their hip, and they'd literally fucking fly in the air. And I'd have a reversal. And John would always be like, this is a horrible technique. Which is true, because for your average person who doesn't have, bucking bronco hips, it's a bit much. But for me, who was that strong, it was effortless.
Yeah, because you're playing to your strength and your style and your game and your body type. So that
And
makes
my
sense.
strength is literally strength, right?
Yeah.
But the point is too, I think the interesting object lesson there as well, that dovetails with this insight
Mhm.
about not gassing out for having a high degree of relative strength in the match. The stronger you are relative to your own body weight, the less total of your own strength you have to use to advance the match,
Mm.
right? I can do jiu-jitsu with really good technique and not get fucking tired
Yeah.
because I'm really strong, right? And so I can go through a number of failed attempts and, with enough time, chances are I will eventually succeed versus an opponent who isn't as strong,
Mhm.
who's now weathering all these sub attempts or these takedowns that I'm doing against,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
So I can sometimes fare better in longer matches, like 10 minutes, right?
Mhm.
Which again, like gives the lie to this idea that don't get too strong, it's gonna fuck your cardio up, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Like the
Mm.
stronger you are, the less of your own total strength you need to accomplish what you need to in the match.
That's brilliant. Okay, I want to be respectful of your time because I know you said you only had a certain amount of time and we're almost at that limit. So
Yeah.
I want to ask two more questions, if you will, and then I'm going to let you go. You can tell everybody where to find you because I have a feeling people are going to have questions. I have a feeling you're kind of shaking things up a little bit right now by talking about more strength. I think most people were probably expecting elliptical, running, rowing machine, which you said those things are good, but that's not
Right.
exactly the thing that's going to benefit you in jiu-jitsu
Not
competition.
not in
So
the match.
exactly.
Over the course of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 matches, absolutely.
Sure. Because that's that recovery period between the matches you're saying. So that type of cardio is going to help you recover more quickly. But the anaerobic stuff and the strength stuff is what's going to maintain you during the match. Am I hearing that
Exactly.
right? Okay.
Exactly.
Perfect. So I don't think most people know that. I don't think most people are aware of that, which is why I wanted to talk to you and why I wanted to put this out there, because I feel like most of the people in my orbit of ultra heavyweights, super heavyweights, whatever, are like, oh, damn, he's going to tell us to go jog. You know what I mean? Or, oh, damn, he's going to tell us to start doing the rowing machine, right? And the fact that you didn't say that, I think is going to pique a lot of interest. And if I post this as a reel or whatever on TikTok or Instagram, you're probably going to get the pitchforks and the torches in the comments going, no, you got to run. No, you got to
Of
do
course.
cardio. And so I want you, if you would, and this is my second to last question. What is your secret sauce? How did you get to this point where you know this and you're able to apply this and it works for you and it works for your clients while everybody else is wrong? Basically, I'm not trying to kiss your butt, but how did you get to be so right and everybody else is so stinking wrong? What's the secret sauce to Fight Fit Training and my man James Dirmenji? What is the secret sauce?
When things have been shitty for me, right? When things have been hard and difficult, I have often chosen to double down on investing in help.
Okay.
I have never been without a coach whose expertise I valued and who I have paid highly.
Sure.
I literally have 3 coaches right now. I don't make that much money. Okay. It ain't over 6 figures, I promise you. Okay.
Okay. All right.
And that said, if I wasn't investing in business coaches, mentors, marketing coaches, fitness certification and education, advanced education from the best people that I can find. I just got a cert from Complete Human Performance,
Okay.
the hybrid training cert, which is all about what I do, which is, I take a certain pride, especially in helping the first responders that I do.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be lightweight strongmen who can run fast. I want them to have it all because
Yeah.
they have it all, right? They need to have high levels of aerobic fitness, high levels of strength. And all of this shit, all this sciencey shit that it's not obvious.
Mm-hmm.
I learned from these mentors, right? I learned from paying them ungodly amounts of money and having them tell me and correct my shit, right?
Yeah.
And that's basically it. And okay, yes, I am autodidactic. I do educate myself. I am curious about these things, and I always have been.
Sure.
But like when pressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's my answer is investing in oneself. Because I think we all, like, everyone has this idea. Everyone longs for some kind of greatness or another.
Yeah.
right? Everyone wants something tremendous, right?
Hmm.
And when I have, done good things like big months of my business or gotten some really amazing clients, like in the branch of the military, some high ranking officers, some
Yeah.
incredible people, guy I've taken through the Secret Service Academy at the age of 37. When I've hit those accomplishments, it's always felt really good, right?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But like to get there, I've had to do the shit that nobody else wants to fucking do, which is to buck up and pay for mentors to teach me how to reach those people in the first place, to
Yeah, for
teach me
sure.
how to make a compelling case, to push me to get my reps in, to hold me accountable every week. Hey, you have to reach out to X number of people if you're going to get a new client this week, right? Hey,
Yeah.
you have to, complete this module so you can finish the certification and have this knowledge to be able to coach these kinds of people competently, right? And get them good results. So,
It sounds like what you're saying in the secret sauce is the education that the things you've gained from coaches, from experts,
yes.
and investing in yourself, investing in those types of things have given you like this deeper understanding, maybe even a wider scope of understanding than the average person who is not willing to invest that time, is not willing to invest those resources to get the depth of education that you have. And you said Secret Service at age of 37. So that's one of your clients that you're coaching right now or that you coached in the past? That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that's legit. Okay. So the last thing I want to ask you, and then I got to let you go because I know you said you had to go.
Yeah.
We got a question on YouTube in the comments from a guy named Stephen Toby 8556. And he says, you know what? I put a screenshot of it right here. Let me click on it. So I'm looking at the camera now. My instructor is having me do a body weight circuit on my off days from class, the days he's not training. My instructor is having me do a body weight circuit on my off days from class. Does that work for strength training? What is your answer to that, sir? You're the expert. I told him I'd ask. Tell me what you think.
I mean, the question is like, what is the goal, right?
I think strength, because he said, does that work for strength training? So I guess.
But the goal is so general. Strength. Yeah, it will work to a point, right? But what do you want, right? And so, like, I know for me and my clients, like there's a vested interest in these guys who work these dangerous, like, law enforcement assignments to be able to subdue and disable an attacker very quickly.
Sure.
Like, are you okay with a 10% submission rate? Like, no, right? Like if,
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, man. That's a good way of putting
this
it.
guy away, it could be your life, So like, is doing a body weight circuit that like doesn't have a clear defined outcome, right? Like, is that good enough for you? Okay, if so, do it, But like, for me, for my clients, when we talk ahead of time, it's like, okay, like, what do you weigh? Like, how tall are you?
Yeah.
How fast is your 2 mile, your 3 mile? How much can you bench, squat, deadlift, all this stuff, right? Where do you want to see those numbers in 4 to 6 months?
So the question is probably too vague.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
without knowing more about his goals.
everything works.
Yeah.
Everything works, right? But does it work to do what, right?
Okay. So everything works, but does it work for you and your goals? That's the question.
Exactly.
Everything works, but does it work for you and your goals? And he commented, I believe, on one of I made a fitness or a weight loss video because people were asking me about weight loss. So maybe he was asking, does the body weight circuit work for weight loss? But again, that question becomes, what is your goal? How much weight? How do you want, how strong do you want to be? So I think what I'm hearing you saying, I think you're right. It's kind of weird because you answer a question with the question, but it's just too vague. It's too general. It's different for everybody. And that's kind of what you do with your clients, is it's tailor-made to everybody and based on their specific goals and their specific needs. For me right now, I'm just trying to learn this stuff and I want to lose weight. But if I decided I wanted to go after the championship at White Belt Worlds, which I'm still thinking about, it would probably be a different goal. And I don't even know what my 1 rep max is at this point. So if I was one of your clients, and I might be in the future, I'd have some work to do to figure out exactly where I stand and look at where I'm at now as in comparison to where I want to go. And then you're going to build the program to help me get there.
Well, and that's the key right there, Chris, right? And then you just nailed it, which is like in any kind of coaching or personal development, it all starts with awareness, right?
Yes.
And it's really uncanny. Like, I look at this in so many different spheres of life and experience, like, especially when I'm rolling, I notice that, like, I always try and pay attention to my breath, right?
Sure.
And just by paying attention to it, it makes it almost impossible to go into a panic attack where you like breathe too rapidly and you're losing control, right? But it's the same thing with fitness. Once you really fucking square up and you're like, fuck, I weigh 250 pounds and I can't even squat my own body weight once. And then you're like, oh shit, I haven't won a match at a tournament in 5 tournaments, right? Right. I've never submitted somebody. It's like, no shit, bro. You know, like you can't even carry your own weight, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is like the hardest step in all of this is coming clean and being completely honest with where you're at, and then seeing, okay, well, what do we want to do from there? Because once you're honest and you can see, you take a quantifiable metric as to where you're at, and then you say, okay, well, I want result XYZ. All right, now we can reverse engineer the whole thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we can make sure that this program is actually going to fucking deliver on the results. And it's not just going to be some one-off influencer PDF that, you know, Gordon Ryan made 600K on last year and you didn't even open the fucking thing up from your email when you paid $29.99 for it, you know, like, so.
True. No, that's out there, man. Trust me, I'm guilty. I've bought some of those in the past. I have. I won't name any names, but I have purchased the plan from an influencer, so I'm guilty.
In your inbox.
Yeah, it's there. And it's, you know, a whole spreadsheet and everything to type in your workouts. I think I did the workout once or twice, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. So no, you're 100% right. I used to say you can't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. I think what you're saying is you can't know where you're going unless you know where you are. And if you don't know where you are and you don't know where you want to be, it's hard to build a plan, because these download my PDF, one size fits all, doesn't exactly work, because we're all different. We all have different body types. We all have different strength levels, and we all have different goals. And so I'll end with this, because I think what you're saying and what you've said is going to resonate with a lot of people. And I think your approach of individualizing everything and really making it about the person and their goals and their background and where they are and where they want to be is going to be important. And I hope some of the guys that ask me these questions, because the reason why I wanted to do this interview is because people keep asking me fitness and weight loss questions. I had a guy tell me, and this is wonderful, thank you, homie. It was a blessing. I don't remember his name, but he's like, yo, I watched your video on where to find big and tall gis, and you look like a different person. Your face is so round, and you look so much heavier, and you can breathe differently, and it's like, good job, man. And I'm like, thanks, homie. So I think people see my progress and go, dude, what are you doing, or what should I do next? Yeah. But I'm not a personal trainer. I don't know this stuff. So that's why I called you, my man. So where can people find you to work with you and to get more information from you, and hopefully so you can get that individualized help that they need?
Absolutely. So Instagram, fight_fit_training. Facebook, I believe it's just facebook.com /FightFit.
What you're saying is you don't go to Facebook very often, huh?
No, I do. I just don't remember what the URL is.
Okay.
Yeah. It's facebook.com /FightFit with 2 T's.
Okay.
But then, of course, you know, I know you're happy to link me up.
I will. I'll put the links in the comments and in the description, of course.
Perfect, man. Chris, it's been a pleasure, dude. I've really enjoyed this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I had a good time talking with you. I'm glad you're helping out the first responders. I'm glad you're helping out the jiu-jitsu competitors. And I hope some of my guys can come to you for some help and some valuable individualized training, because that sounds like what we really freaking need instead of the influencer PDF. So thank you for making that clear, and thank you for making yourself available. And I'll put all your information and your links in the comments so people can reach out to you. And we didn't get a chance to talk about recovery or mobility or flexibility. So maybe next time we'll talk about some big stuff. Yeah, episode 2. But I appreciate you. I thank you. Stay focused, stay positive, stay vigilant. Thank you, sir.